Hey everybody, how you doing? Yeah, get some of this stuff under control here. I'm a little late getting in. Didn't even get my microphone set up. Hopefully, you hear me okay? Sorry about that. Got a little crazy busy this afternoon. So hopefully everybody had a good weekend last weekend and all that good stuff. Let me just check our sound here. Why isn't it? So I think the sound is working. Unfortunately, it's not showing me. There we go. Okay, it's good. Awesome. All right. Hey, John. Glad you made it in tonight. So last Friday, I busy here also. Yeah, I'm sure everybody's been scrambling, with the holidays coming up and everything. Hey, hey, Chris. Yeah, we were just texting back and forth, so that kind of got some time in there. I haven't heard back from Nick yet, so I'm not sure on the time on the shirts, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, so last Friday I went up to Orlando for No Guts, No Glory 12. Did some testing with Hacker Motorsports. Got them going pretty good. Hey, Ryan, how you doing? I got to stop and say, anybody that is friends with Ryan on Facebook, you got to look at the pictures of the hood he's done for that square body truck. He has one picture on there that the way the angle of the picture, you see the reflection, and you see the roof of the shop and stuff. And it took me a minute to even realize that was a hood. I was like, I just couldn't quite grasp what the picture was at first, and I realized, oh, that's the hood and the reflection that's in the hood. It's incredible. That thing is coming out awesome, dude. Yeah, I got the parts in today at like 5 o'clock for the Cup car transmission, so I won't have anything on that yet. We'll get a video on that for next week. And I had Joe's car pretty much wrapped up, and he gave me a shout and said, hey, could you do a radiator core support cover for that thing? So I worked on that today. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And got the brakes done on Dick's T-Type, Buick T-Type. It's back on the ground finally. And getting ready to move that over to the 4-post lift where I can get the doors open and start working on the wiring. So I got some pictures to show you on that. And I got you've probably seen the videos on the Hacker Motorsports Camaro. I'll go ahead and show you those again. Hope you don't get tired of seeing me repeat stuff. Updates on the on the swag or the merch or t-shirts, whatever you want to call it. We ran them through the wash a bunch of times. They did get a little bit smaller, but they're still, a large is still a large, an extra large is still an extra large. I normally wear an extra large, and I actually could put the large on, and it was it fit. So it was a little snug. But I don't normally wear a large, so I think we're in good shape with those. Being my youngest daughter was in town this weekend, and I was gone Friday. I didn't get back till about 2 in the morning on Saturday, and so I kind of a little behind this weekend. So I didn't get any updates on the store, but I'm going to work on that this weekend. Sunday was pretty much a recharge the batteries days. Normally the wife and I do yard work and I still have to finish digging a trench for the new Ethernet cable coming out to the shop to bury the casing. I didn't do any of that. I just sat on the couch and watched a little YouTube and some TV and recharged the batteries from last week. So we'll see how that goes. I'm looking up at the control panel right now, and looks like we have 0 drop frames so far. So I think, fingers crossed, I have the buffering situation straightened out. So a buddy of mine, Dave, he usually comes over on Saturdays, him and my buddy Chuck, and they've been having a hard time getting on the internet through my Wi-Fi. They're still working even on Saturdays. They just do it from here. And so he had his IT guy come over, and we found out that the upload speed was terrible. Although the Xfinity coming into the house to the main router was excellent. But because I'm out in the shop, out in the back of the property, I have to have 2 repeaters, one that picks it up off the main router in the house and then shoots it out to the shop. And I think those were the issues. So he went ahead and brought me a router for out here, and we kind of cobbled up a Ethernet cable from the main unit out here, although it's just out laying on the ground and stuff, and it's not a really good cable. It's just something you had. And the speeds went from 5 megabits to 100 megabits. So we have really good speed now. And the other thing that I did actually about an hour ago is I changed the RAM in the tower desktop that I'm using for this to do all my film and editing and live shows and everything. So it only had 8 megs or 8 gigs of RAM, and so I just put in the maximum 64, and the computer seems to be working great now. Right now the CPU usage is only 1.5%, so everything is not overloaded and taxed trying to do all this stuff. So I think that's where a lot of the problems were with the buffering. So I think we got it dialed in now. So hopefully it stays good like that. I mean, I can see on all the editing software it 0 drop frames at this point, which normally we'd be about 3-4% when everything's working good, and CPU output is good, and we're running at 60 FPS, so I'm not 100% sure what that means. It's got something to do with speed, so we're running at a fast speed, and everything's working good. So I think we're in good shape for that. So hopefully all that will be good, and hopefully one thing I thought about this afternoon was we have that issue with microphone or sound changes. Sound level changes when I would change from this scene to the desktop scene and play some images. So hopefully, I didn't write any of them numbers down, so I need to work on it this week. Hopefully, when I do switch in a little while, if the volume gets crazy, let me know, and I'll try to fix it on the fly. But I will try to jot down notes so that I can make sure it's all correct before we get on the show. So tomorrow I get my buddy Connor, the detail kid. He's coming over to work on service my truck and my wife's car, and I'm going to have him look at the Cup car about cleaning up some of the frames per second. Thank you, John. Yeah, so we're running 60 frames per second, where normally we'd only run 30. So I kind of thought that's what it was, but I wasn't 100% sure. But yeah, so I got him. He's going to come over tomorrow and look at the paint on the Cup car, and if we can get around the rain that we're supposed to get this week, I'm going to try to get the numbers peeled off the roof and the doors and get the new numbers on there, and hopefully have the transmission finished up. So maybe this weekend I'll pop that new tranny in. So we'll get some video for next week of that. Also on Joe's car, I am building a new Terminator X startup program. Let me rephrase that. A video on doing a first fire up on a Terminator X and working the tune from the wizard file to going into your PC and making corrections so that the tuning gets closer quicker. I see a lot of people on Facebook groups saying about how, you know, they've ran in the vehicle for a while and it's still okay, but it's not great. And you know, everybody's first thing is, well, you need to go get the car tuned or vehicle tuned. So I'm going to go ahead and try to get this video done to give everybody a heads up on what a lot of the stuff that they can do themselves to get it a lot closer quicker, so that may not need to go and have a tuner do any tuning on it. So we'll see how that works out. Luckily I got Joe's car here. I'm going to go ahead and use his car for that process. Something I've been trying to work on for a while now, but I just didn't have enough pieces to put a whole video together. So hopefully with his car I can go ahead and do that. So sorry about that. I got an itch. Yeah, let me I want to go ahead and show some slides. Well, it's a little video that is an older video, and then some slides of what I'm working on Joe's car. So let me get that up. Oops, sorry. Valve covers, mid-mount engine assembly, throttle. So hopefully the sound is good on this. This is one of the things I was talking about when I run these videos. Sometimes the volume is a little louder. So let me know if it's close or if we got an issue there. But this is just a video showing the original air intake system that I made for the car. Since Joe picked up the car, he went ahead and had that hydro dip. So we'll show you that in a second here. Body, ECU, wheelwood brakes, hydro boost, Griffin radiator, Landis Performance air intake. All right, so I thought that was going to go right to the slideshow, but it didn't. So let's go ahead and do that. So anyway, so this is the air intake tube that I had made. He wanted something that was, you know, had good balance in the engine bay. I used these billet arms supports to make heat shields so that the air filters in the corners would not get any of the engine heat. Thought that would come out pretty nice. So these are just some of the original pictures when I originally built that. So since then, Joe had that hydro dipped, and I thought that thing come out great. I mean, it looks like a real piece of carbon fiber there. I mean, it's got a real good, nice look to it and everything. So it came out real nice. So Joe called me and said, you know, I really hate how this all looks, how you see all the AC condenser and the horns, and there's wiring down there and all kinds of stuff. So he said, you know, asked if I could make a core support cover to kind of cover all that. So I went ahead and started working on a template. So this is my first go around of a template. So I, you know, took a big piece of board and started trimming it up, and you know, I just poked holes through it from where the bolt holes were and stuff. And then it's hard to see on there, but I wrote notes and put hash marks and stuff so that I could lay this out on a fresh piece and make the fit a lot better. And that's the second piece. So follows the core support down there. It tucks under the front cowl and then tips over the back of the radiator. So he wants to go ahead and have this done in the hydro dip also, which I think will really make the car pop when you open the hood. And you can see there where it's kind of got the piece bent over there. I thought about trying to get something going over here, but there's a lot of angles and changes there. So for right now, we're going to leave it like this. And I may go ahead and make a second piece and then try to work on maybe getting some type of a roll going over top of the backside of the core support. But for right now, this is what we're going to go. I sent him the pictures. He loved it. So we'll go ahead and start out with this one. And I'm definitely want to make a second and try some forming to it anyway. Just, if nothing else for future jobs. I kind of dig the metal forming, but it's not my main forte. I'm more of a mechanic, so just going to play around with it and see what we can do. I am going to try to make this piece up here, instead of being a sharp bend, I'm going to try to make it more of a roll, but I think it'll come out real nice. So yes, that was something I was working on today. I think it's gonna look real nice. I made one for Dave's Chevelle, and he sent his out to get polished, and I think it's coming out. His is gonna come out real nice. So we'll see how that works out. Definitely want to try to get more adept at forming that stuff. Probably still making out of too thick a material. Thanks, Ryan. The ones that you did where you can weld them into the car look way better than an overlay. But I looked online when we were here in the shop Saturday. Dave said, "Oh, you can buy those things," and there's a bunch out there, but they don't. The fitment is not good. They're kind of a kit type deal. So I definitely would like to get some radiused edges in there. I think I would really look a lot cooler. And so I figured, I'll go ahead and make the simple one now, and Joe can have it hydro dipped in the meantime, or in my spare time. I'm going to try to work one that has a lot more shape and angles to it. And then if it comes out real nice, then, I'll go ahead and give it to him, and he can get that one hydro dipped. And so we'll see how that all works out. It should be good though. Any kind of cover on those makes them look a lot better. I'm not real happy with the opening for the hood latch, but both Joe's car and Dave's both have these billet mounts under the hood, and they're pretty big and bulky, so there's really not a whole lot I can do with that. If we got to the point where we were making all that custom at one time before the vehicle's painted, I can probably get into some better latching assemblies where it looks a lot cleaner. But I think it'll be good for what the outcome will be real nice. It'll look real nice when he goes to the car shows and stuff. And I've seen before where it actually even helps with cooling, where now all the air going through the grill is forced through the radiator rather than going up over the cowl or the core support. Although Joe's car has no issues with cooling, but that's an added bonus for that. So yes, that was kind of worked on that today, and coming together. So the other thing I was going to go over I see Chris says hydro dip. I'm not familiar with that. Looks great. So what the hydro dip process is they take a big tank with water in it, and they put a pattern, a wrap, but it's almost like if you remember putting models together when you were kids, you'd get these stickers that you would moisten with water, and it would come off. It would release the agent, and you get it off the paper, and you could stick it on your model, and it would be clear except for whatever was painted on the sticker, but the entire piece would be all clear. So that's kind of what hydro dip is. It's a big sheet of some kind of pattern or colors or whatever, and then you prep the part and you push the part through the pattern, and it wraps as it's going into the water. It wraps around the part. So any you see like hunting equipment with like the mossy oak wrap, like you see guns and stuff with all that, that's hydro dip. On Joe's air cleaner, that is a carbon fiber pattern, and then they run that through, and then the pattern goes across the part, and when they pull it out and it dries, and they can spray a clear coat over it, and it becomes like a cleared part. So I mean, they do intakes, valve covers. I mean, anything you can stick in, depending on how big the tank is, anything you can do it. It looks great. You'll see a lot of cars with wood grain dash pieces or carbon fiber dash pieces. Usually that's hydro dip also. They put a sheet of like a wood grain in there, and they push the part through. And because you're going into a liquid, as the part goes down, the wrap, the skin goes around and wraps around as you push the part into the tank. So like on Joe's air intake, if you flip it over, you'll see where the pattern, the carbon fiber pattern, doesn't quite line up. But a good person doing that, that's how they do that. They know the good side has to go in first, and then the back side, it is what it is. But it's a really cool process, and you can make things look very cool that otherwise you wouldn't be able to do. To have that air intake made out of carbon fiber would be a very expensive venture, because you'd have to make a mold and then or a buck, or you'd have to make the part and make a buck and then lay out the carbon tube, and I mean, you're talking probably thousands of dollars to do that, where this is just some aluminum tubing welded together, and the welds all ground, because I knew he was going to get it hydro dipped, and then hydro dipped, and now it looks like a carbon piece. So it works out really nice. Makes parts really look very nice, and so he'll do that whole core support cover is going to be in that hydro dip. So, and it'll be really cool looking, because it's going to look like a piece of carbon fiber fitting, looking there or sitting there. So he did try. I had thought it would have been really cool. What they'll do a lot of times, especially like with valve covers and intake manifolds and stuff, where they'll paint the part with like a background color, like a candy or a solid color, and then put the hydro dip over top of it, because the hydro dip is not completely solid. You can see through it. So when you put a color behind it, it then becomes like on Joe's car, we were talking about doing red. It would have been like a red carbon fiber, since the motif on his car is black and red. But the thing is, the carbon wrap changed the color, and rather than chasing a bunch of resprays on it to get the right red so that it would match the valve covers but it'd be carbon, they decided just to go straight carbon, and it came out great anyway. So that's what the plan is there. So and Chris, I talked to Justin today. He's got all your drive assembly all done, and he was talking about trying to get the car on the dyno maybe Thursday. I have to go up to Riviera Beach and do an alignment for one of the guys that works at MPR engines, and I got to do a tow adjustment for Justin on one of his cars. So he was saying either he's going to get some footage of the dyno pulls, or have it timed so that I can go over and film at least 1 or 2 pulls anyway. So that'd be really cool. I know you're looking forward to getting your car back. He did say that everything is working really well and everything looks really good on it. So it should be good. I think he's just doing AC hoses tomorrow and working on that, getting that all wrapped up, and then go from there. So should have that thing done pretty good. If we can get some dyno pulls on it, we'll show next week on the live show. So hopefully that all works out, and you'll be getting your car back soon. So so the other thing I was going to go ahead and yeah, no problem, Chris. I was going to show a little bit of the T-type. I know some of these pictures will be the same pictures I showed last week, but then I'm going to go into the final product. So switch screens here. So there's the T-type, and what we did was we did a Gen 5 SS Camaro brake swap on it. So one of the big popular things for the G body is to put an S10 hub on the spindle on the front, which Dick had already done to his car, so it already had a bolt-on hub. That's why you can see it's hollow there. But I had to still modify the spindles and stuff. So again, this was the rear end that I had to modify. They got the G body has this weird end on it. I'm sorry for the blurry picture, but I had to cut it, and following the internet instructions on this conversion brake kit. And I guess the big thing for Dick was that he has a 2015 Camaro SS, and the calipers and the rotors came off of his car because he did a brake upgrade to that. So he only had to buy a couple pieces to do this upgrade on the T-type. So I think that's why he did it. To me, it would have been far easier just to go ahead and put a Willwood kit on, but I digress. So anyway, so the backing plate didn't fit that housing at all. There was a lot of slop. The internet's like, just all square it up the best you can. I didn't like that idea, because the brake shoes here have to ride inside the rotor, and the rotor is centered off the axle. So to me, it didn't make much sense. That that needs to be pretty much spot on to keep the brakes from dragging. So I went ahead and made the spacer, which we kind of showed this stuff last week. There was the finished piece, and that would slide over the housing bearing retainer, sit like that, and that allowed the e-brake piece to mount up solid and true. And then I was able to drill the holes and bolt the backing plate on. You can see there it's sitting very true, because it's probably within 2 thousandths of being exact. So worked on getting the brake hoses and all that stuff done on the front. This is the front hub again. Now I got the wheels off because I'm finishing the kit up. I didn't have the right hardware kit, so I didn't. Before the earlier picture didn't have brake shoes or anything in it. So I got the brake shoes in. Kind of dark picture, but you can see you got the brake shoes in. So here's some of the modifications we had to do. This is where this piece had to be cut off. This is where your factory, I think it's a D52. No, this had a 2-piston caliper, and I don't remember what the number is. But anyway, you had to cut that ear off, and you had to cut an ear off up top. And the new brackets use the wheel hub bolts that go through the spindle to mount the caliper. There's you can see the flange with the bolts. There's the back side of the hub bearing, and there's another section where the top mount would have been that I cut off. And obviously a brand new brake hose. There's another picture of the back of the hub. And another picture of the piece that I cut off on the bottom from on the other side. And this is the rear brake kit. So it again uses the big rotor and the caliper off the Camaro, and we put hawk pads all around it. And then cut the stock line, which was a replacement stainless, and put the flex hose in so you can get the calipers on and off if you need to. You can see where I drilled the original G-body flange and bolted the hubs on, or the backing plates on. And I've got Willwood universal e-brake cables going on. I don't have that finished yet. I did a gear swap. Kept with the same 342, but new set of gears, Detroit True Track, and the TA rear cover on the back. It's got a nice big Detroit Speed anti-roll bar on the back of the car. There's the other side with you can see Ride Tech coilovers and the Ride Tech brackets. Again, the new stainless flex lines. You can see there where I, cut the replacement factory line and hardwired that all in. And we ran a new line up to the frame. So now here's the replacement stainless ones on the housing, and this one connects to the line going to the front of the car. There's another picture of the front brake hoses. And now I got the wheels on the car and was able to get a couple pictures of the car. Ryan says you had to change the mass cylinder or the pedal ratio. So that's a good question, Ryan. Pedal ratio, no, because it's still he still has, well, what he's done is the T-types and the Grand Nationals came with an electric, kind of like a Hydro Boost, but it's not hydraulic. It was electric over, electric pump pressure over, and they had problems with failure. So this car actually has a booster in it, but the proportioning valve and the master cylinder are still the same ones that were on the car before. So they're not going to be correct, and I will have to talk with Dick about that. We're going to have to look into that. So far, I just basically was bolting on the parts that he supplied when he brought the car to me. The main thing I'm doing with this car is a Holley Terminator EFI system and a Holley Pro dash, the 6.86 dash. So a little bit of story on the car. It's been sitting for about 8 years. So let me get to the engine. So he had this engine built. I believe it is a 4.2 stroker motor. It's got Champion racing heads, Champion racing intake manifold on it. I'm not sure of all the other stuff it has, mods that was done to the engine, but it does have like a Steff's aluminum oil pan. It's got stainless headers on it. It's got this aftermarket twin scroll turbine turbocharger on it, and then it's got an air-to-air intercooler replacing the small air-to-air intercooler that normally came on these cars. So basically what I was told is he got the engine built and took it to a shop down in Oakland Park, Florida, Gutsn Performance. I've known Russ since I was a young guy. Russ is a little older, and from what Dick was telling me was this was basically the last car that Russ put back together. Unfortunately, as age comes in, our bodies start giving up, and he got into some health issues that he was unable to finish the car, and he ended up ultimately closing his shop. So Dick then took the car from him, and I'm gathering, because another shop did the intercooler plumbing, that he took it somewhere else to get it finished, I'm assuming, and maybe had situation or problems with the work that they did, because the work that they did is not finished either. So that's where I'm at now. Is I have to, pre-lube the motor, put all the lube in. The transmission's a fresh rebuild with no fluid in it. Then I got to go through and I'm gonna clean up all these battery cables and all this. There's a lot of mess on here that a car that has all this money spent on, I think, should look a little better than that. So we're gonna go ahead and work on all that. Like right here, I mean, I don't know if I can see it here, but this tank right here, it's kind of underneath there. That is a big power steering tank, and I don't know why it's there, and it's zip tied to the brake lines. I don't know why it wouldn't be up in this corner where it should be. So I don't, there's a lot of things that I'm not sure about the car, so I got to go back over it. And again, I totally believe that this is not going to be the right master cylinder, and definitely does not have the right proportioning valve on it. So as we've talked about on previous shows, I'll be calling my friends out at Willwood, and I'll give them all the specs and let them tell me what I need to put on. I'm assuming with the size calipers and being 4-piston calipers on all 4 corners, that it's going to probably take 1.125 master cylinder. So, but I will be talking to them about that, and getting back with Dick on that. So the other thing I have to do, let's see, what's the other, never mind. The other thing I wanted to show you guys was, I had no idea when he asked me about doing a dash in the car that the car wasn't a stock dash. So when I got in when the car came to me, this is what I found: a bunch of autometer gauges and this little pod off to the side, and this Scan Master. I think it reads codes or something. I'm not sure what it does. But yeah, it's kind of a hot mess in there. As you can see, I mean, you'd be hard pressed to see all those gauges and see what's going on with it. So what I'm going to be doing is putting that Holley dash in the center. I've got a 3D scanned insert that goes into the factory dash to hold the Holley piece. Although now that I see that it's already been modified, I don't even know if the tabs and mounts behind this instrument cluster are even there to mount the correct piece in. So we'll see how that all goes. This is kind of where I'm going to next. When I did the brake swap on it, I had the car on a 2-post rack. Well, the 2-post rack is really hard when you have to work inside the car, because you can only open the door so far, and it's in the back corner of the shop. It's kind of congested back there. So once I get into doing wiring and working, doing things like I'm going to be doing with this, I like to get it up on the 4-post rack where I have a lot more room. I can open the doors all the way open, and we can go through everything. So, I'm going to be pulling all these gauges out, figuring out all that mess, and then pulling out the factory engine management wiring harness, getting all that out and cleaned up, and then I'll go ahead and build the Holley harness, and we'll go from there with that. But it should work out well. I know it will. It's going to work out great when I have it all done. It's just a matter of undoing the bad stuff, and then putting it all back together with the right stuff. Unfortunately, I had assumed that the car was more stock. I thought it was a stock vehicle with a performance engine installed, and that was all that was done. But now that I see that a lot of mods were done, now I got to go back through and decipher the mods that other people made, and then fix it all up. So it'll take a little time, but it's going to be good. Basically, once I finish the tuning video on using Joe's car tomorrow, his car is pretty much ready to be picked up. So I'll be able to get on this thing hot and heavy, and see how that goes. And we'll do updates as I go through it, kind of showing you guys what's going on with it. I did reach out on Facebook about roll bar tubing, and an old friend who's got an account with a metal supplier is trying to get me a deal on tubing for the Vet Hawk. So hopefully we'll be able to start moving back on that thing again. And now that the T-type is off the 2-post lift in the back, now we'll be getting Chuck's OBS truck in the shop. That's one. If you guys looked on the channel, I did a turbo LS engine build video. Well, that's for Chuck's truck. A little background on it. So years ago I built a 383 for Chuck, and that's kind of how we became friends. He came to my shop, and I was looking for a new motor for his 88 Chevy pickup. And see if I can find you a picture while we're discussing this. And so we did an engine and trans and all that. I put an old school Holley Terminator on it, which was a 4-barrel throttle body. It didn't look like a carburetor or anything. And he put 14,000 miles on it over the course of a couple years. And so I had a customer come in and wanted to he wanted a 383 for his 54 Chevy car. So I said, hey, I know a motor that's a good running engine. You can hear it still in the truck. Here's a picture of Chuck's truck. It's a real good looking ride. It's got 20s on it. We did a disc brake conversion in the back a while back, but so it worked out well for everybody, because like I was telling Chuck, we pulled the 383 Gen 1 small block out of his truck. Kind of hard to sell, because nobody's gonna, trust is not really good buying used stuff, and I get it. Even if somebody knows me, there still could be question marks and stuff. But having the opportunity to sell somebody the engine while it was still in the truck and running, we took it over to Jerome. Jerome had the 54 black 4-door, what we call crew cab Bel Air, and he wanted to upgrade his car. So his car, had the straight 6 150 cubic inch. It made, I think, 105 horsepower when it was fresh, with a 2-speed power glide and drum brakes all around it. And he was having concerns driving it around town, because what some of you may not think about or whatever, living in South Florida, everything's big. Even your local streets are all 4-lane, 6-lane, 8 lanes on I-95, 6 lanes on the turnpike. So a lot of cars, a lot of people going fast, and when you're in an old car that has no power and drum brakes, it's pretty sketchy driving with everybody, because they can stop on a dime and you can't. And of course everybody, because of the volume of traffic we have around here, everybody's riding everybody's tail, and accidents, rear-end collision accidents happen a lot. And and Jerome even had issues of worrying about pulling out of his neighborhood, getting on the main road, which is a 4-lane road, because there'd be very little gaps between cars, and so he was afraid to pull out because the car wouldn't accelerate up to speed quick enough compared to the cars that were already running, driving on that road. So anyway, we took Chuck's truck over to him. He heard the car engine run. Chuck showed him his he keeps good detailed notes of spark plug changes and oil changes and all that stuff, all the maintenance records on the engine and transmission. So Jerome said, yeah, no problem, I'll buy it. So Chuck was able to get a halfway decent price for his engine and transmission package, and Jerome got a great deal on an engine for his car. So if you look on the channel, you can see I've got a video on the 54 when I finished it up. So unfortunately for Chuck, because the opportunity to sell the engine was there, we ended up the truck's been sitting. In fact, I think Dave was mentioning that this weekend or last weekend was the 3rd year anniversary that the truck's been down with no engine or trans. So been a minute, but I've got the engines done. We got a brand new 4L80 trans for it with a 3200 stall converter. In the meantime, it gave Chuck a time to save money. So he's got a whole I believe we did a QA1 coilover, 3-link rear suspension, and we just now got a real good Willwood brake kit for it. The truck's always had sketchy brakes. That's one of the downfalls of the OBS vehicles for some reason. Between the rear ABS and the size of the master and the booster, the brakes always seem to be sketchy on these model trucks. So we did a disc brake conversion to the back. That didn't help a lot. We did a master cylinder upgrade, although I did not use the Willwood method. I just saw online that somebody said to use the Tahoe SS police master cylinder on there. It helped, but the truck still doesn't have great brakes. So now we've got the 14-inch rotor, big brake kit going on it with 6-piston front, 4-piston rear, Willwood setup with the Willwood appropriate master cylinder and proportioning valve. So I think we're going to be in great shape now with the brakes, because with the with the 383 LS engine platform with twin turbos on it, she's going to have some get up and go. So brakes are going to be very crucial on this project. So that's anyway, since that was one of the things. Now that we have the lift open, I can get his truck in here. Chuck has been a great friend, and he does a lot for me. Whenever I go on weekends, we go test customers' drag cars, and he's got the availability. He goes with me, and he's really good about looking things over and spotting trouble. He's the guy. When we lose something in the shop, we put Chuck on it because he'll find it. He has that knack. So anyway, so this is more of a shop project than a job. So on the suspension kit and all that stuff, that'll be stuff that Chuck and Dave can put on the vehicle on Saturdays, and we give me time to get the hot side and the cold side plumbing built for the turbochargers and stuff. I'm gonna relocate the radiator and the AC condenser, put a big twin intercooler on there. So it should be really cool when we get this thing all buttoned up. But that'll be a future project that we'll be able to put on there. And of course, I'm gonna try to do the whole build on for the channel. But that'll be a minute till that's released. You guys will definitely see the instant updates as they happen. So that'll be the next project on that rack going on. And then when Joe picks up his Camaro, he's bringing his 70, I think it's a 73 or 74 Corvette, and got a couple little things I needed to button up for him on that. Eventually we're going to bring that back in. I've got heads, cam, and a cross ram individual throttle body setup going on that car. But right now he wants to just enjoy the new suspension that's on the car now, and we'll do the engine in the spring once we get more of these projects caught up. And I appreciate Joe for giving me the time on that. And so that'll be that. And I also will have, as I get the Buick a little farther along, I get Bert's Gremlin in here and get his engine installed. So hopefully get that in the next couple weeks. That's going to be just a quick engine swap and tuning. So hopefully that's going to be a little job in between all the other jobs. The turbo kit's already on the engine. The EFI, the Holley EFI is already on it. So we're basically just pulling the engine that has 2 dead holes and out and putting the new turbo engine that I built back in. So it's basically just going to be an engine swap and then tuning, because obviously we're going from a 4 running cylinder 6-cylinder engine to a good 6-cylinder engine. So probably will need a little bit of tuning on that, but not bad. I don't think so. Kind of the stuff in the pipeline here. So unfortunately for you guys, I didn't really get any tech stuff for you tonight. One of the things, going back to Joe's core support, years ago, you used to be able to go to the office supply or to the drugstore and buy poster board, and it was a thick quality board that you could make templates and stuff out of. But I've noticed probably all the way back to about 10 years ago, they really got thin. The poster board now is almost like 2 sheets of paper glued together. So really hard to make any templates because it doesn't hold its shape. John says, wish it was local to you. I'd be around to help and learn. Yeah, it's Saturdays a lot of times is a pretty good hangout. We get guys come by and hang out and get stuff going like that. It's a lot of fun, I don't want it to be like a, it's not a business situation. I'm basically, if you look at any of the anything like on LinkedIn or YouTube or any of that stuff, you'll see on the Facebook page, engineering and engineering services is basically what I try to provide for people for their race cars. I'm not or street cars. I'm not an engineer, schooled engineer. I'm a school of hard knocks engineer. So I, like on Dick's car, I take a car that has been modified and maybe not correct, and I'll go through and re-engineer everything so it all works properly and does the right things. In my eyes, anyway. Maybe somebody might not like the way I do things, but for the 40-plus years I've been doing it, it seems to work pretty good. Chris is, unfortunately, I couldn't get Chris in the shop to help him out, but I basically did the same thing with Chris. He got run through the ringer on his car through a couple of different shops to the point where he really didn't know what to do. The last shop said they could do everything and he ended up pull it out of there basically before they got closed down. So basically what I did with him, I did engineering services for him. So we would find a problem and I'd give him advice on how to correct it. And I told him, I said, once if you got some hand tools and stuff, why don't you try to do it all yourself? I'll help you through the hard spots. And now you'll know all the ins and outs of your car because you had your hands on it, instead of paying somebody and then having to pay somebody else to fix what they fixed, and then having to pay a third party to fix what the second guy didn't fix. So, it just becomes really bad for people. And, I really feel bad because it leaves a bad vibe for the trade. Unfortunately, a lot of mechanical shops, they can do general repair work and think they can do hot rod work, and so they take it in, and it's typical after hours or side job, and so it sits forever, and they really haven't done them many before, so they kind of get stuck on trying to put other components together. That's a big thing with this. My buddy Scott says it all the time. These cars are Frankensteins. We're taking bits and pieces from all these different manufacturers or different models of cars and piecing them all together, trying to make one cohesive project when we're finished. So there's a knack to that. It's just not, going to a catalog and ordering a bunch of parts and it's all going to bolt together seamlessly and bingo, you got it done. It doesn't work that way a lot of times. So that's kind of what my main thing is. So yeah, so we get a lot of people come by on Saturdays and hang out and stuff and stuff like that. I wanted to go back over some car show stuff. So we have a bunch of car shows coming up. Let me pull this up. My buddy Doug caught up on watching some of the shows this last week. So he's like, "Hey, I heard about these shows, and maybe you can tell us more about them." So the first, well, let me even go back. There's another one I need to go back first. So where did this go? All right, I opened the page, and where did it open up at? There it is. All right, so we had a cruise in that we would go to on the first Friday of the month, and it was at the Brass Monkey. It was a really nice show. You go in, eat dinner, and hang out, come and go as you want. Cars would come, cars would go. It was a great deal. Well, unfortunately, the shopping center had some 4x4 trucks, as I was told, on a completely different time and date and everything else, not when there was a car show, but they saw an opportunity of an open parking lot, and so they were out there doing stunts and stuff, probably donuts and what have you, and the property owner saw them and said, okay, no more car events on this property. So we lost that car show. So there's a new one that popped up, so anybody in the South Florida area, on Friday nights at Big Rocco's Pizzeria and Tavern. It's up on Southern Boulevard in Royal Palm Beach. We're going to replace this show with the Brass Monkey. It's probably, probably about 5 miles away from the Brass Monkey. So it's still, actually, it's probably in an easier area to get to. So anyway, so that was one show I just wanted to bring out. We haven't had one yet. The first one will be coming up here in a little bit. But I think it'll be a good time, and I'm glad to see that we got something replacing the Brass Monkey. So the next show that is coming up, January 4th, and that's the Daryl Gwynn Benefit Show, the Full Throttle Show of Shows. And my buddy Eugene, DJ Eugene, has been putting this show on for 25 years. It's been at Sheehan Auto Center all these years. It used to be Sheehan Pontiac, and now it's Sheehan Buick GMC. And it's a really cool show. Instead of like your regular car show, this show primarily is race cars. And so what they do is they take the used car lot, which has awesome lighting, and they empty all of the used cars out of the lot. I think they can get 300 cars in this lot. And then we come in on the January 4th, Saturday night, and we fill up with at least 40 to 50 race cars, not street legal, but real race cars. We've had Paul Richards' Top Fuel funny cars there in years gone by. My buddy Mike's Nostalgia Nitro Dodge Charger. Tons of dragsters, all kinds of drag cars. I'm going to have the Cup car there this year. And then there's tons of, probably another 100 street strip cars, people's hot rods that they also drag race. And it's a really cool event because you have all the drag racers and road course racers and stuff in the area that have been around probably, 40, 50 years, and some that are just new, but it's a great it's like a big reunion. Everybody gets to hang out. You see people you haven't seen in years, especially now that Miami Hollywood obviously was closed years ago, and now Palm Beach International is closed. So all the racetracks in this area are gone. So there's a lot of people that haven't been to a racetrack in a long time, but yet they were racers, and we get to go and see them, and it's a great show, and all the proceeds benefit the Nick Bonifani Foundation for spine repair, which Daryl Gwynn is part of. Originally, all the proceeds went to the Daryl Gwynn Foundation, but he is now merged with the Nick Bonifani group, and so they raise a bunch of money for the foundation. Typically, they will give a paraplegic or quadriplegic a new power chair at the event. Because the Gwynns are usually there for that. We have a engine startup rumble deal, and I do believe that they now do the Miami Hollywood what am I trying to think of? Hall of Fame. They usually give 5 or 6 new inductees their plaques at this event. So it's a really cool event. Like I said, it's a big reunion. I love when it comes around. I've missed a couple of them, but definitely will be there this year. And if anybody's in this area, definitely something you want to go to. And then the third show that I wanted to talk about. This is the one that Doug had mentioned. That's the following weekend, January 12th. And this is at Quiet Waters Park in Deerfield Beach. And it's the Cool Wheels Car Show. Now, my friend Joe Alicio puts this show on, and it benefits the Jim Moran Youth Automotive Training Center. So for people that don't live in this area, Jim Moran is a big time dealer in Toyota. I believe his company brought Toyotas in the Southeast United States originally. So he has this foundation that is a tech center for teaching high school age kids, get off the street and get find a trade. And of course, they have the opportunity to then go to a ton of different dealerships in the area that will accept them once they graduate out of the training center. So again, it's a really good cause. Joe does a great job with this show. There's usually 1,000+ cars at this show. It's in a big county park in Broward County in Deerfield Beach, and just really nice settings. Food has a whole line of food trucks. They got a big stage with 3 different DJs that switch back and forth, plus a live band. The show is from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., so it's a good amount of time at the show. But it's a really great show. It's one you don't want to miss. Biggest one in South Florida for sure. And so that's coming up. And the reason I mention that is anybody that wants to get so the way the place is set up is there's a certain amount of asphalt parking, and typically Joe holds those areas for car clubs. So I thought it would be really cool that all my friends, we would make a car club, the Landis.Performance Center, LPC car club. And that way we get all parked together and we get nice asphalt parking. So that's the reason I'm mentioning that. So if anybody wants to go to this show and bring your car, contact me maybe by January 4th at the absolute latest. I prefer before the first of the year. And let me know you want to bring your car. And that way I can give Joe a heads up of how many cars we're going to have. And he can get a spot for us where we can all be together. We can all converse and hang out. And then, of course, there's tons of cars to go see. The main amount of cars do park in a big grass field. So I kind of like the asphalt parking myself. So hopefully we can get in. Depending on how many car clubs he has, I'm not sure exactly where he's going to put us, but we will definitely be parked all together. So that'll be really cool, and I appreciate Joe doing that for us. So that was just something I wanted to go back over. You can go. I don't have it in front of me, but you can register for this show ahead of time, and then in the registration, there's a place where you can put your car club affiliation. So it'd be LPC Car Club, and that way we'll all park together, and it's a really nice show. They have a bunch of guys that go around for trophies. I'm not a big person for worrying about collecting trophies, but this is one of the shows that Joe does. He really reaches out to the car community. I believe at this show he gives out 110 trophies for different vehicles and honorable mentions and stuff like that. I think the overall best of show gets $1,000 cash, and second place gets $500, and the best of show gets a rendering on the next year's shirt. So as you saw in the poster, I'll click back real quick. This is a GTO that won. I think it was a rain out last year, so it would have been 2023. I believe that is a Miranda built GTO, really beautiful car. So that's one of the kind of the benefits if you have a car of that level. You can try to win best of show and get your car on the future T-shirt. So that's a really cool deal. It's a really cool event, and they call it the Cool Wheels Show. So there you go. So I think with all that, I think that's pretty much all we really had for tonight. I appreciate everybody coming on. I'm looking at the software, and it says we had 0% drop frames for the entire show. So I do believe I've got that cured. John says 30 plus years ago I did a V8 S10 swap. Wasn't a lot out there then. No, there wasn't. They're really popular nowadays, and really popular drag vehicle and all kinds of stuff. And when I get all these projects that we have right now wrapped up, I definitely want to put together a drive and drag vehicle. So I'm kind of thinking of something with a long roof, so either a wagon or maybe a Blazer or something like that. So who knows what we might put together in the future, but that would be something cool. I know my buddy Scott has a late model S10 Blazer 4-door, so and he's pulling some of this suspension out from under that, so that may be something we might do in the future. So but yeah, I think they make really cool vehicles. Of course, I'm going to do a LS type deal, and we'll see how it goes. One of the things that once we have Dave's car all wrapped up, and we get Chuck's OBS truck all wrapped up, and I get the Vet Hawk project not wrapped up, but at least moving along and maybe running and driving. I would like to get to a point where we could start doing a project car for the channel. So like I mentioned, the long roof drive and drag vehicles. That would be like one we do, where we'd pick up a car or truck or whatever we're going to do, and grab pieces and parts and just go and put one together. Kind of like kind of how I started the Cup car. When I did my 50 Chevy, that car, a lot of the stuff was not new bought parts. It was stuff that I horse traded for, or bought used and recycled, stuff like that. So kind of what I wanted to do with the builds that we do in the shop. They're Frankensteins anyway, and to keep them low buck. So that's kind of how I started with the Cup car. However, I saw a chance to have it done at for LS Fest, and then I kind of turned it around and went crazy and just spent a ton of money on the car to get it done and get it done the way I wanted it done. And you know, it's coming out. The car is awesome. Now when I get the training in, I can't wait to get it on a racetrack and start really seeing what it's really capable of doing. So those are things you know, we are going to do in the future. John says, I love Chuck Stefanik's 81 Le Mans wagon from Drag Week. Yeah, and you know, I kind of think that's cool because you could, if you have a wagon, you know, you can carry all your stuff. You don't have to have the trailer with you. I'm thinking a drag radial car, so you don't have to do tire changes. You know, so be really cool. I don't know, you know, what kind of class it would fit or anything like that. I'm not really concerned with that. Just more so want to enjoy the event. You know, I've been helping Dawn and Bill out with their 33 Ford, and you know, really makes me want to go and do the event with them. So you know, maybe one day in the future we will. So we'll see what happens. I got my buddy Doug's got a couple engines that are either not put together or partially put together. So you know, it might be something there where we can you know, maybe borrow an engine, get a trans, you know, kind of do something like that to get out there and do it. So who knows, maybe Doug, when he gets to a point where he has some free space, free time, maybe he might want to join me on a drag week adventure. So we'll see. I know Chuck and Dave, they've got pretty hectic schedules. I don't think they could get away like that, but we'll see. We'll see what happens in the future. But yeah, if I'm borrowing one of his motors, that'd be a perfect opportunity to go, since it's his engine. He can make sure we don't kill it. So anyway, so I think that's gonna be it for tonight. I really appreciate everything that you know, you guys all coming out. Remember, hit the like. You know, give the show a thumbs up. The algorithm is picking us up better and better every week. If you haven't subscribed, you're watching for the first time, hit the subscribe button. It's free, and then not going to cost you nothing. And go ahead and you know, ring that bell. There's a bell on right underneath the video, and that'll give you instant notification whenever I put anything up. You know what? I didn't do anything with the with No Guts No Glory, but we'll talk about that next week. I kind of ran long tonight. So anyway, everybody have a great week, and you know, we'll do it all again next Tuesday, and we'll get try to get some more videos out there for the channel. So give you guys out good night and have a great week.